Hey guys, this is Eric with the OPSRC, and I'm just here to help you kind of think through how to use Zoom to do your board meeting. I think Zoom has a few options that Google Meet doesn't, and that I think are really useful for schools. One of those is you can start with everyone muted and keep them from unmuting. You can choose to have your video on or not, and you can choose to only start when the host is on. So I think those are really helpful options. So I'm going to show you, kind of guide you through how to do that. And here we go. Okay, so first thing you need to know is that Zoom has temporarily lifted the 40-minute time limit for basic accounts for schools. So in order to do that, you're going to need to sign up for a basic account for yourself, someone at your school, and then you're going to need to fill out a basic information form explaining who you are and that you're a part of a school. You're going to have to do this with your school domain, not with your home domain. So if you're planning on using it for like a Gmail account or something like that, that won't work. They say it takes about 72 hours and then that your settings will be lifted. Until then, you can only do a 40-minute limit on everything. Okay, so this is the page that you're going to want to use to schedule a meeting. And so once you're on here, this is your kind of meeting page. You've got some options over here and some settings. We'll talk about some of those later. And then this is where you're going to hit to schedule a new meeting. Very easy. You're just going to click, boom, hit that, schedule a new meeting. So this is a new meeting that I've already set up and want to talk about some of the best ways to set it up before you actually get going. So number one, for videos, I always suggest that you set it so that the host video is on, but the participant video is off. Now, that's really important because you don't want to see every single person that shows up to your meeting. You just want to be able to have the people that you want turned on. Next thing here is it says mute participant upon entry. Really important as well. That'll mute every single person who comes into the meeting, whether they're your board member or just the public. So that's important. You can choose to unmute them later, but I'm going to have to show you that you're going to have to have one other setting that you need. The other piece is here, enable join before host. So that means that before you get started, they can join. Probably don't want that to happen because you want them to wait until your host is actually started. And another option is the waiting room. So if you schedule your meeting at noon and you want them to have to kind of wait for a little while outside of the meeting before they come in, you can do that. Last thing is, do you want to record the meeting automatically to your local computer? Once you get started with Zoom, you can click that you want to record and do that separately. So you don't have to set that up unless you really want to. A couple of the things once you actually get the meeting going, you're going to want to look at a couple of these. One is if you're muted, you'll see the big red line through this. If your video is off, you'll see the big red line through this. For a meeting, it's best if they can see you and hear you. So you're going to want to have them both the mute and this unmuted. Another really important thing is this Manage Participant button. When you click that, you'll see on the sidebar a list of every single person who's watching the video out there in their homes or wherever they are. And you'll see the exact same two functions here next to them. You'll see, are they muted and is their video on? Now, if you start it the way that I just showed you a minute ago with those two settings, then both of those should have a line through them. And there's one other setting you're going to need to set so that you can make it so they can't turn themselves on, which is really important because you don't want them to be talking during the middle of your meeting. Last couple of things, share will allow you to share your screen like I'm doing here, or share a whiteboard or a few other things. That's really useful if you want to share a PowerPoint like I'm doing. And then chat. Chat will allow everybody in the whole room to talk to each other, though you can change that function. Once you click on chat, you can set it so they can only send messages to the host. That's the way I would recommend doing it. I would recommend, if you're going to do public comments, that people chat, send you those questions at the beginning, or send you that they want to speak at the beginning. And then you, when it comes up for time for public comments, you can unmute them for say 5 minutes or however long you usually allot that. And then this is the record button. Once you click record, it'll record just like what I'm doing here today, and then it'll save it into a video at the very end that you can keep track of. So once you click this Manage Participant button, and I said before, you'll have a list along the side of all the participants. It's really important that you have this right here. Allow participants to unmute themselves unclicked. If that's clicked, then they have free reign over the whole meeting. So you don't want that to happen. You also want to mute participants on entry. Now, we set that earlier in our settings, but we want that to happen for every single meeting. This question about can they rename themselves, that's you have to worry, especially if you work with high school students, that maybe they'll rename themselves something offensive. So you may want to turn that off. And do you want it to make a noise when they come in or not? Now, this last one is lock meeting. I would never use that in a public meeting because you have to allow the public to come in and see what's going on. Always important. Now, there's a few other advanced things that I didn't go over today. But if you have questions, this is just the basics. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is eric.doss@opsrc.net. My phone number, 918-236-8770. Feel free to reach out. And also, most days at noon right now, we're doing an open office hour, at least until April 6th. So feel free to jump in there, practice your Zoom with me, and check it out. Okay, well, if you have any other questions, you know how to contact me. Feel free to do that, and good luck with your Zoom meetings.